Welcome to the School of Public Affairs and Administration's Writing Methods series. This Writing Methods session will cover creating strong career materials. My name is Terry Hall, Director of the Writing and Career Development Center at SPA, and I'll be guiding us through this seminar. It's important to remember that finding a position is a process. The process begins with research, includes creation of a resume or a CV, often includes creating a cover letter, as well as preparations for interviewing and the importance of following up. There are multiple organizational tips you might want to take into account before beginning the process. The first would be to create file folders for different documents. On your PC, you should have a career folder. That career folder will include things like your resume, cover letter, as well as any written materials and perhaps miscellaneous material as well, including things like references or important documents that you might want to present. It can be helpful to put this information into file folders and keep track of them all together in their respective categories. That could mean opening up the resume folder and seeing a list of resumes that you've used to apply to various positions. For every job you apply to, you should make a resume. In this particular case, you'll label the resume as resume, the name of the organization that you're serving, and the date that you applied. It might also be helpful to create a master document. Oftentimes, when you're applying for different jobs in the same field, you might want to have one master template that you can easily adjust. The master templates can include everything. You don't have to limit them in the size or the length or detail, because they're going to be the basis for what you want to say. With that being said, every resume and every cover letter that you make, you'll want to custom tailor. You'll want to make sure that each place that you're applying to has its specific needs addressed, and you'll want to make sure to mention them by name and stay within the context of anything that they're looking for from someone who will work for them specifically. It might also be helpful for you to keep track of all of your correspondence using charts or spreadsheets. Oftentimes, it can be very useful simply to have the file folders that you've created in a career folder to keep track. But you should find a way to make sure that you're keeping track of the types of responses that you get and what methods are successful or which haven't been so successful, so that you can make the appropriate adjustments. The School of Public Affairs and Administration primarily services two sectors, the government or public sector, as well as the nonprofit sector. The private sector tends to be a part of the industry that will work with public sectors and nonprofit sectors, but usually it's a public-private partnership that we would focus on at the School of Public Affairs and Administration. When it comes to government, there's many different types of jobs, including in city management, administration, planning and budgeting, human resources management, different social services, public safety and criminal justice, the military, emergency services management, health and human services, human resources, education, public transportation, environmental management, and libraries, to name a few. Please note that government also includes federal, state, and local branches. When it comes to nonprofit careers, there's many careers in administration and management, but also in financial management and budgeting, fundraising and development, research and policy analysis, education, arts and culture, museums and libraries, philanthropy, grant writing, civil rights, social action and advocacy, as well as community engagement, family services, youth services, and community outreach. Finding job and internship opportunities can come in a lot of forms. At the School of Public Affairs and Administration, on our website, you will find a connection to Handshake. Handshake is the primary platform utilized by the Rutgers University Newark's Career Development Center. And Handshake is the primary platform that all of our students use throughout the school in order to connect with employers. You can also find more information on the SPA website itself, as well as go to outside vendors such as USA Jobs, which posts government jobs, and idealist.org, which posts many nonprofit organization jobs, as well as volunteer opportunities. It's important that the first thing that you do as a student is research the field. Research your professional field of interest and find out as much as you can about it. Learn what's going on currently, find out what stage the field is in. Is it a new and developing field? Is it something that's been long established? Is it one that needs transition? This is going to look very different depending on your point of interest. If you're interested in working in government, the changes to the field may not be as quick or as dynamic as you might find in health and human services in a nonprofit organization. So what you want to do is find as much out as you can so you can speak intelligently about your field. Further, you'll want to collect information about your chosen job of interest or any jobs that you'd like that are similar that you'd like to compare. Take a look at their responsibilities, their salaries, take a look at the career advancement opportunities, and other things that might be attractive to you, and decide if you are interested in an internship, a full-time job, or perhaps a long-term career. Review the website for any organizational information that could be helpful. If you go to the About Us page, you'll oftentimes find information involving their mission, their value statements, their vision. Organizations are also very good about providing information about their annual reports. They'll often mention anything that is laudable in their in publications, such as local newspapers. You might see them mentioned on the local news, through current events, on radio, maybe in journals or in newspaper articles. Also, organizations oftentimes these days have a footprint in social media that might be worth looking into. And furthermore, notable members from the organization may have written books or had biographies written about their lives. They may have attended or given lectures. They may have given speeches that are worth your time in understanding what role you'd like to play in the future. Handshake is the platform that we use at the School of Public Affairs and Administration. It's also used broadly throughout the university, at Rutgers University Newark, and at the other Rutgers campuses, including Camden and New Brunswick. Handshake is available to all students and all alumni. It starts with creating a personal profile and updating application information. So on the platform, you can upload your resume, cover letters, appropriate personal statements, and you might also be able to set up interviews on campus so that you can practice your interviewing skills. Handshake allows for active job searches through a very robust filtration system. And so it allows you to follow employers that you like. You'll be able to save your favorite jobs, update your career interests by tags or keyword. You'll be able to research recommendations given to you by Handshake based upon your interest and activity. You'll be able to explore frequently asked questions by others so that you can safely pursue your career pathway. You'll also find suggestions for more information, additional reading material, that sort of thing. And also, updates will be sent directly to your email whenever you'd like. Handshake also allows for the facilitation of events. So you can be notified about events on campus. You can also sign up for events. You can attend electronic events, anything through Zoom or WebEx or Collaborate. And then also, you can provide your feedback about events through Handshake. More than that, in finding opportunities, it will provide you with background information about the employers themselves. It will also post their website and contact information for ease of access. When you see a job posting on Handshake, what you're looking for are a few key pieces of information. Strong postings will include organizational information, job requirements concerning the position, and then the qualifications that are required for the job, such as what education level you must be, how many hours a week you'll need to work, and the expectations for someone working at the level that you've chosen. It will also include instructions for how to apply and who to contact. Handshake further itself includes community information from students who have served at the organization. So students who have elected to participate have posted their contact information and may actually be available for follow-up if you're so inclined. The Handshake platform features also include finding internships and jobs. You can search by employer. You can learn from a community of alumni and students. There's multiple career pathways. You can register for events, and ultimately you can connect with experts at the CDC. So if you have questions about the platform, or you have other questions concerning services offered, or there's something else that you need, perhaps such as setting up a consultation to have your materials personally reviewed, then you can certainly do it through the platform. The resume is the foundation of the job search process for most people. It's what we focus on the most, and we also tend to adjust it on a regular basis. The most important thing to know is that there's no one perfect way to write a resume, but your resume should include some core information so that you can put your best foot forward. So most resumes are one-pagers, and they're custom tailored for a specific position, and little bits of information might be subject to change between them. It starts with your personal contact information, including your name, your address, and then how we can reach you through email or phone. It moves into potentially a personal summary or an objective statement if you have a clear focus for the direction you'd like to go. Professional experience that you'll include will be a list of your recent jobs, how long you were employed at those positions, and what responsibilities you covered on a regular basis. They'll include your educational background, including your degree, the school that you attended, the years that you were there, and also, depending on the level, you may or may not need your GPA, but oftentimes employers who would ask to see it may ask to see a transcript instead of rather seeing it on the resume. Your resume must also include a list of your skill sets. So there's their occupational skill set, that talks about things such as the way you work with teams, or broadly things like event planning or grant writing. And then at the same time, you'll want to have the more task-based skills that are specific to things like computer programs, or things that are technical in nature for your chosen position. You'll also want to let us know about the languages that you speak, written and spoken. To what degree of professional proficiency are you able to do so? And you'll be able to mention any professional memberships that you might have. And these things may have involved training and or certifications. Furthermore, we want to know about your honors and awards, any certificates that you might have received, and any scholarships you might have received. You don't have to go back as far as high school, but anything within the past 7 years on your resume to 10 years is fair game. And finally, hobbies and interests are not something that you have to put on unless they are chosen, you believe that they will be effective for helping you to get the job. For example, if you've been trained in CPR and you're interested in emergency services, those two things might be compatible and they might be relevant. But you don't necessarily have to put that you have a hobby of reading and basket weaving. You can certainly do that if you'd like to, but it's not required. These next couple of slides are examples of resumes. And the idea here is that the resume needs to be laid out in such a way that it can easily be followed. Each of the resumes that you see posted is designed for is placed here for the layout. In this case, though they are actually a bit difficult to read, what's important here is the spacing. The idea is that you may want your resume to look a particular way based upon what you've seen suggested on websites, or you may want your resume to reflect the information more so than its overall design. It's up to you, and you can decide what is the best approach, but understand that there is no one right approach. It's a matter of taste, and it's oftentimes worthwhile once you have your information in a concrete fashion that you like to actually rearrange it and try several different looks until you decide on one that fits your taste. Should you need to do a curriculum vitae, it's a long form resume, and you'll typically be asked to directly to create one if one is necessary. You can assume most of the time that a resume will be necessary, and if there's any other criteria that a job such as a public position might have, such as testing, then they'll certainly let you know. But as far as the curriculum vitae goes, the most important thing to remember is that it requires most of the same information that the resume does, with the exception that it includes personal information such as date of birth, citizenship status, and visa status. It might also include other personal information should you choose to include it, but oftentimes these are optional. Curriculum vitaes are great places as long form resumes to lay out the publications that you may have had, the conferences that you may have spoken at, different events or projects that might be worthwhile in establishing your profession or your place in your profession. And then further, you may also want to discuss any sort of grants that you have written or ways in which you have made major changes to organizations. Because curriculum vitae are long form, they oftentimes can run into the double digits when it comes to pages, and they are often very popular amongst people such as professors and scientists. Oftentimes, they're not necessary unless you absolutely want to be thorough or unless the job fully demands it. But again, you'll be notified if curriculum vitae is necessary, and if you're uncertain about what's necessary within that curriculum vitae as it comes to, when it comes to you, then you can always ask for a sample. The cover letter is also designed to be custom tailored, and it's a letter. Another example will be provided on this slide, but essentially, this one-page letter should include the date, a greeting, and then your signature. Your personal contact information will be placed at the top of the letter. The organizational contact information will be placed directly below it. After you date the letter, you'll then write it, sign it, and send it off. The cover letter's job is to explain what the resume has to do with the job that you want. So the content that needs to be included within your cover letter, you'll need to name the organization and the position. You'll be ideally explaining why you'd be a perfect fit for the job and also for the organization's mission. You'll want to explain your relevant skill set, explain your background, and make sure that you thank them for their time and provide your contact information for follow-up consultation. An example of the cover letter can also be laid out here. And again, the purpose of this particular slide is to ensure that the spacing is understood in the sample, not so much the content of it. You'll want to make sure to avoid common errors. Common errors will include things such as articles, making mistakes with the, a, or an, simple, silly things that could usually be caught with spell check. You'll want to avoid preposition mistakes, such as on or in. You'll want to make sure that your verb tenses are consistent. Oftentimes, when writing about the past and the present at the same time, things can get confusing. So it's not so much whether or not a sentence should be written in the present or past tense, but more a paragraph. It's usually helpful to pick one specific voice and keep moving forward. When it comes to subject-verb agreement, when it comes to pronoun antecedent agreement, it's important to make sure that those two things agree. It's important to know that, for example, in the subject-verb agreement, a dog walks, whereas dogs walk. Where you place the plural is important. And also, we want to watch out for unnecessary repetition, which usually happens when being overly formal. We want to be careful of vocabulary, make sure that we're using the appropriate vocabulary, and make sure it's being used the right way. We should be careful of abstract language. Anytime there's esoteric language or acronyms, things that people may not understand on their face, you might want to make them explicit and clear, mostly because you never know who's reading the resume. It may not be the person in the field who's making the decision about whether or not the resume will reach the next level. And then, of course, grammar and punctuation are always core things to remember to keep track of. When it comes to your own self-assessment tips, you can assess yourself the same way that you would assess the work of others that you might be reading for class. In this case, take a look at what you've written after you've written a draft. Make sure to circle keywords and underline key phrases that you like in your work, and see, is there something more you can say to, or is there a way to make it more concise? Be as specific as you possibly can throughout the resume and the cover letter. Use real numbers where available. Use rates of data to show that, use data to show rates of increase in your effectiveness in ways that you've changed the organization. You can talk about people served, money raised, events run, the capacity expanded. And then also, if you have any trouble expanding upon your past responsibilities, try to remember it as a step-by-step process. Think about each task that you've done, and then try to rebuild those steps into something cohesive so that you can explain it easily. Also, you might try the transformational approach. Focus on the positive. So in this case, if you wanted to work on something, or you feel that you need to express that something is in development, if you see yourself using negatives such as not, or can't, or won't, try reframing those as positive affirmations of what you want or what you're looking for. Then also remember that the past informs the future. So what we want to do ideally is talk about the past in a way that will help provide guidance and a vision for what we're looking for. Again, learn to speak intelligently about your field of interest to the best of your ability. It will be a developing process, but it gets easier and you get better at it as you do it. And if you're uncertain about how deep you are in your research and in your preparation, and you need a bit of time to reflect from an objective place, you might want to talk to a friend or a colleague and have them maybe interview you, or maybe review your stuff and inquire what types of questions they think are most important. You want to tell once you get through the resume and the cover letter, you want to tell your story and prepare for that interview process. And so you want to develop a strong personal narrative. Speaking intelligently about your field of interest is a great first start. You may want to develop a 30-second elevator pitch, something that allows you to practice introducing yourself, saying what you're there for and what you're looking for, and what you hope to achieve in a way that makes sense. The elevator pitch is something that can be worked on and developed for in one-on-one sessions. So I encourage anybody interested in developing an elevator pitch to visit the Career Development Center, or visit the Writing and Career Development Center at SPA. And then also, it might be helpful for you in your personal narrative to recall interesting and memorable experiences in your career. Anticipate different conversations that you think might come up, and perhaps prep for them, either by looking at your old work that was successful, or reading material about what you'd like to pursue in the future. Remember to listen and to learn from people who you're speaking with. If you're asked a question and you find that you are speaking more than you're comfortable with, or you feel like you need to listen more, remember to leave a window for commentary. Remember that you can turn this into a conversation, and you can provide a give and take that is much more easily digestible than perhaps trying to memorize what you think is the most important thing, or trying to wow the people that are interviewing you with the knowledge that you crammed for. So keep it simple, and to the best of your ability, make it sticky, make it stick. Try to find some hook or idea that you think is attractive about yourself or about your experiences that make you a strong candidate. Also remember in an interview that good first impressions are key. Soft skills are important, and good etiquette is something we always should work on. So please remember that manners matter. You should be polite, look people in the eyes when you meet them, uh, shake hands or greet as is appropriate for the occasion. Dress professionally, be punctual, remember names to the best of your ability, and use them when you speak with people. Take good notes if you happen to have a pad with you or a table to write on. Uh, Engage in conversation respectfully. Remember to listen, speak clearly, and avoid interrupting. Remember to turn off your cell phone or any other devices you have before you meet. And once you've done that, remember to follow up with the individuals that you meet with. Remember to follow up with anybody that you might exchange business cards with. If you happen to have more questions about career services or prepping for the job process or the interview process, if you happen to be making a career switch, I'd be happy to speak with you. Please make an appointment with the Writing Center. You can do that by making an appointment through our email at tlh135@newark.rutgers.edu. You can also find more information about about SPA's Writing Center through our website. Uh, it's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I hope you enjoy your day. Thank you.